After years of therapy, a lot of people affected by early trauma are disappointed that they don't feel better. They tried whatever the therapy was, it didn't work very well for them, and so they decide they must really, really be broken. Have you ever felt hopeless like that? So here's a different way to think about your healing. Try thinking of it not as something that a professional gives to you, but something that you learn to kind of harness from within. Maybe with professional guidance, or maybe on your own, you work to develop your own natural tendency to balance out your mind and your body and to bring it back from a dysregulated or stressed state back to a calm and regulated state. Now, there are dozens of ways that you can do this. If you watch my channel, you know I write my fears and resentments on paper and then follow it with a restful meditation twice a day. I've taught thousands of people how to do this, and if you want to learn it, I've put a link to a free online course that I've made down in the description section. So when people take that free class, they're invited to these free Zoom calls with me, and one thing that comes up a lot, a question that comes up, is whether it's enough to just write and meditate, whether that's going to actually change their mental state or help bring them back from dysregulation. So yeah, re-regulation is basically what my daily practice helps you do. And if you want to know what that feels like and whether it's going to be a fit for you, you could just try it. So another thing I get asked a lot is, shouldn't I also be making a gratitude list, or shouldn't I also be figuring out the original cause of my fears and resentments? And I always say, you can and should do whatever works for you. But just consider trying these twin techniques all by themselves just to see what happens if you don't put effort into anything else at the same time. Not overthinking it too much, not feeling like you have to improve on it. Just make a space for that natural healing tendency to just kind of well up from within. So we all have a natural healing tendency, and it might be kind of stressed and worn out right now, but with writing and meditation, you're giving it a rest and allowing it to get stronger in you. My observation from using the writing and meditation techniques all these years is that healing is natural. If I skin my knee, that wound will heal without me having to think about it or do it right. I don't have to plan it. I don't have to search for root causes to heal it. I don't have to write a gratitude list to make it happen. And if I get a cold, my immune system also will organize a fight, and pretty soon I'll recover. Now, in the same way, there's a natural tendency in us to heal from childhood PTSD. Without a doubt, this healing tendency can get blocked or disrupted by new trauma or exhaustion or drugs or drama or distraction. But when we get dysregulated, our brain wants to go back toward re-regulation. And so with simple healing techniques, we can kind of help that along. We can get out of the way so that the natural process can help bring us back to equilibrium. Now, everybody gets dysregulated sometimes, and most of us eventually re-regulate. Childhood PTSD makes us extra dysregulated and can make it harder to come back from that. And so the art of healing is learning how to notice the dysregulation and start taking steps to re-regulate just on the spot. If you notice you're feeling triggered, stop, use your techniques. If you're feeling numb or spaced out, take care of yourself and use your techniques to get back in your body and feel your feet on the ground. When you get good at noticing dysregulation and re-regulating quickly, you'll start to be able to make that inner correction almost spontaneously. 20 years ago, I would get dysregulated and I'd have to go hide in the bathroom at work to write my fears and resentments on paper. And today, more of the time, I can just make that inner shift and undo that kind of tightening reflex and relax into re-regulation. Now, some people call this self-regulation or self-soothing. And with practice, whatever you call it, it gets easier. And if the day comes that you do have access to professional help and you want to do that, you're going to have so much more of a base of strength to work with you and make that successful. If you have mastery over your inner triggers, you have a lot more freedom in the outer world. Whatever happens, you can handle it. And so confidence grows in you. And it's as if your world just got a whole lot bigger and a whole lot safer. Now, it pays to know the tools that work for you. For some people, it's exercise. For some people, it's sleep. For some people, it's martial arts or music or hanging out with their pets or reading spiritual literature. For me, it's writing and meditating. Now, you don't have to wait necessarily for a doctor or therapist to diagnose you and talk to you and figure things out. You can start doing the things that help you re-regulate right now. You can un-traumatize yourself. There is no harm in doing that. If you still have trouble believing that you can ever heal, I'll tell you the image that came to me in my own early recovery from childhood PTSD when I first learned this daily practice. Now, just casually while I was meditating one day, without meaning to daydream, I imagined myself as a blade of grass in a field just covered with wild grass. Now, grass is going to grow exactly like grass if you don't mess with it. If it's growing in a spot where there's some sunshine and a bit of water and some decent soil, not too many gophers tearing it up or cows walking all over it, it's going to grow into luscious, tall grass. Now, we've all seen dead grass. Maybe it got walked on too much, or it didn't get enough water, or it was stuck under a tarp for the summer, or the stalks are bent and dried out. It looks dead. And then it rains. And for a few weeks, nobody walks there. And what happens? It grows back into grass. It's the nature of grass to grow into tall green stalks of grass when conditions are good. And this is what I realized was true for me, for all of us. It's our nature to be calm and perceptive, to have equilibrium inside, and to have a nice, fresh, balanced, regulated nervous system. That's how we get green and luscious. And while grass doesn't have choices, we do. We get to seek help and get help. Medical help, psychological help, spiritual help. And help is good because it can augment the natural healing you're already doing. And again, if you need some help, I've shared things you can try in the description section below. When we step away from the source of trauma a little and calm the triggers, we can't help but become a little more ourselves. And that's the feeling we were missing back when we felt empty inside. Now we have a way to feel just right.